Alright, sorry about that. The custodian was coming through, so I had to kind of cut this video into two parts. Otherwise, it would have been super awkward to have him coming in and watching me tape a fantasy football recap thing. So, going forward here, I talked about the trade issues, and I know Foosball had mentioned the whole possibility of implementing like a 12-hour policy where all owners should respond within 12 hours. The problem with something like that, though, is 12 hours obviously is just unrealistic. Again, in an adult league where everyone has other responsibilities outside the league, that's just not nearly enough time. Especially if you get like a genuinely decent offer, which is maybe 1% of the time. That's something you're probably going to want to mull over for a while, do your own research, and maybe sleep on it. So 12 hours is not reasonable. I'd say 2 to 3 days is more feasible. The problem with implementing anything like that, though, is, what's the punishment? If you don't do it, what's the punishment? Because quite frankly, something as minor as not responding to a trade offer, I can't threaten to lock someone out. I can't kick them out halfway through the season. They paid their league dues. They can run their team however they damn well please to. So really, all I can do is say, if you're not responding to trade offers, you're probably not going to be invited back next year. And I can guarantee you that Special K and myself, we're keeping notes on every single owner. And when the season's done, we're going to get together, we're going to compare notes, we're going to figure out which owners are deplorable material and should continue on into future years, and which ones need to be culled. And we will be ruthless in the culling. And I would also like to ask for some patience in this regard because, quite frankly, you got to remember, it's the first year of Deplorable, and it's during a year which we have COVID and all the freaking demonstrations and protests going on, which turned off a lot of experienced players, fantasy football players, and kept them from wanting to participate this year. So it's just a matter of, getting through these growing pains, getting a really good group of 12 owners together. That's going to take a year or two. It's not something you're going to have right off the bat. So again, ask for your patience in that regard. Now, as far as the people who are sending out the trade offers, like, come on, guys. I get on one hand, because when I make a trade, 99% of the time I got to do 100% of the legwork, 100% of the groundwork, and figuring it out and getting it to go through. So when somebody ignores a genuine trade offer I've kind of worked out, it does get very annoying. So I understand where you're coming from in that regard. But at the same time, like, if the only thing you're doing is sending an offer with no note attached and doing nothing else, and then 2, 3 days later you're complaining that they're not responding to you, yeah, I'm not really gonna give you much sympathy on that. Because as far as I'm concerned, you should be either attaching a comment there with that trade offer, or more importantly, dude, just send them an email. It takes 5 seconds to, say, say you're foosball, you send out an email to Jenner there, and you're like, hey, I got 2 stud quarterbacks here looking to trade one. Noticed your team kind of needs one. Would you be interested in acquiring one of my guys? I'm thinking, something like X, Y, or Z in return, but it's negotiable. And you just kind of go from there. I think it's a great way to kind of build some camaraderie between owners and get you all to kind of get to know each other a little bit better. I want this to be an active league where people are really, interacting with each other a lot and just kind of having fun. Like, emailing each other about trades is one of the best ways to get to know each other, get to know each other's valuations, and all that fun junk. So I'm like, now, if you sent out an offer and you sent out an email to them and they're still kind of ignoring you, yeah, then I'm going to be pissed off. Then you got to let Special K and I know. Then we're going to look into it, and that's going to be a black mark on them in terms of whether or not they're going to be coming back next season. But if you haven't at least sent them an email, reached out, and kind of personalized the entire experience, you're not going to get a lot of sympathy from me. Unless you're dealing with OK Google, then OK Google can go fuck himself. So I just wanted to kind of round that out there for you. So yeah, again, like reach out to your fellow owners, send those emails, try and personalize this process. I promise it's one of the best ways to get deals done. That's coming from, Donald Trump, the master of all deal making. So, I think that carries a little bit of weight. All right, all right. So there we have it. Hit on all the trade materials. Again, if you have any questions, you can reach out to Special K and I. We're happy to answer that kind of stuff. And now we're going to move into the actual recap material, which I know you've all been waiting for. I have some great jokes lined up for you. At least I think they're hilarious. I don't know about other people, but considering that I'm the only one here and I'm talking to myself in theory, well, I find it entertaining. I'm entertaining myself, and quite frankly, that's all I really care about. So we're going to start with my game against Caitlyn Jenner. And of course, obviously I won that game, which kind of came as a surprise to me because, as far as I'm concerned, I was telling Jenner earlier in the week, after the Steelers and Titans game was called off for this week, like I lost so many players, I didn't think I had a chance at winning. I was like, I'm done. You're gonna win this week. And Jenner was actually really nice about it. He didn't lay into me or start trash talking too badly before the game started. So, seeing as how I won and everything, and he was pretty cool about it, I am not going to lay into him. Gonna be like, you know what? Good game, Jenner. You lost by about 14, but it was a really good match. Appreciate it. Obviously you could have won if you started the right guys, but at the end of the day, people like Latavius Murray, or McCole Hardman, who expects them to outscore guys like Tyler Lockett? It's not going to happen. I do feel bad for the Austin Hooper thing, though. You started him every single week this year. He completely kept tanking over and over. And the one week you decide not to play him, he goes off and doubles Aiken's score there, who went out with a concussion partway through. So, that's really just bad luck, man. Better luck next week, and we'll play each other again week 12, and hopefully at that point we're both at full strength, and it'll be a really fun matchup. So moving on to the next one, I thought this was basically the game of the week. You had Strasmore versus the pervert Feelgood. Everyone always thinks that like Dr. Feelgood named his team after that really kick-ass Motley Crue song, which yeah, it's kick-ass. I love that song. But no, it's actually because he is a real life doctor and he likes to feel good. All right. I am allowed one shitty joke per broadcast. That was it. You can't blame me for that. This was a super close matchup. Feel Good could have won it, but Calvin Ridley ended up dropping it, a garbage time touchdown right at the end that would have given him enough points to win. So, that's just bad luck. And quite frankly, Ridley put up a damn goose egg. So that's really shitty luck. And Mahomes caught a couple of BS touchdown passes on, forward passes that went literally 2 inches. That ended up being the difference between the games as well. So, whatevs. Of course, Strasmore's team, going forward, now that Chubb's out for like 6 weeks, Hunt's value is definitely going to be going up. So that's great for his running back core. But fortunately, Julio Jones re-aggravated his hamstring. He's going to be out for an undetermined amount of time, but he has not really been producing at all this season. And it's probably going to be quite a number of weeks, maybe till week 7, 8 before he's fully back healthy. And even then, is he going to be the Julio Jones of old? Who knows? That could have been a bust of a pick right there. But I will say this, if there's one positive in Strasmore not responding to his trade offers, it's that I actually tried trading for Julio Jones last week. So, got lucky on that one. Now, moving on, we got a Special K Woke Bison. This really wasn't even close. Special K was expected to blow out Woke Bison. That's basically exactly what he did. Pretty much everyone on Special K's team just dominated going into the double digits. His linebackers are a little. Actually, no, linebackers did well. Just his safety kind of sucked ass, but it happens. Defensive scoring this year has been a little, I'd say, a little lower than we would prefer, but we can make adjustments in future seasons. Assuming nobody's super against that. Well, Bison on the other end, Wilson had a relatively pedestrian game by his standards. And Bison tried to go with the double Patriot stack at running back there, and Michelle got announced as out the day of the game. Took a big fat zero there, got a big fat zero at defensive tackle. Like Bison's team, man, his running back core is pretty much non-existent. And I think he stands as like that pinnacle example of invest in running backs early. Obviously injuries can happen, and if you don't have at least a couple of good ones that you can plug in, you're going to be scoring 6 points from two combined people, which is not going to win you a lot of games. So, Bison's in that position where, he's probably going to be needing to look at making some trades or working the waiver wire or just hoping he strikes lucky at some point because otherwise it's going to be a long season for the guy. No offense, love you, man, but it's going to be an uphill battle for you. Now we have, Beers and Ertz, and Beers won that one, but at a great cost. Seeing how Nick Chubb went down with that injury, like I mentioned before, he's probably going to be out in good 6 weeks here. And Beers doesn't really have a great backup running back, so he's going to have some trouble next week and really, quite frankly, going forward this year and trying to fill that role. Throw in the fact that, Michael Gallup and has been super inconsistent. AJ Green's been a big fat bust. And, throw in also that Noah Fant went down with an injury. He could be out for, anywhere from 1 to a few weeks. He's not having a lot of great luck himself. And I'm sorry, I'm burping a lot because of dinner and not going down very well. But, But yeah, it was not a great week for Ertz either. Couldn't even crack 100 points. Ty continues to suck monkey nuts. Darrell Henderson regressed. Because Sean McVay really believes in that running back by committee approach for whatever stupid reason. It's only going to get worse next week when Cam Akers is back. So it's going to be a three-man tandem, just coming down on people. Like, oof. And Jerick McKinnon, 22 points, sat on Ertz's bench. Wouldn't have gotten him the win, but would have gotten very close. Fortunately, Raheem Mostert should be back in maybe another week or so that's going to kill McKinnon's value. We'll see what he can do there. Now, of course, after that, we have Google and Foosball, which, Foosball just blew it up, scoring over 200 points. And I'd like to apologize to everyone in the league. I know Foosball generally will text me every Sunday to kind of, roster bait like usual. But this week, or really, I've kind of been training him in the sense that when he starts roster baiting, I'll just stop responding to him. And I think that resulted in him posting in the league chat about how amazing his team was, which got Special K trash talking with him and setting up a pretty damn good matchup for next week. But again, I apologize. I try and keep foosballs roster baiting in check, but it kind of spilled out into the full heft of the league there. And we're gonna have to see what happens with him going forward. And like his team blew up, but Melvin Gordon, is that value going to stay very high? Considering that Philip Lindsay's coming back this week. He got Joe Mixon, who was complete ass through the first 3 weeks of the season, just blew up for 42. Is that going to be continued or not? We don't know. And okay, Google, I've already yelled at you for the Jared Cook decision. and the rest of your team pretty much played like ass outside of Lamar Jackson, who you expect to do well. Amari Cooper had a really good game, and he's got a decent wide receiver core and a good quarterback. It's just everything else sucks monkey nuts on his team. If he started actually participating, he could probably do a lot better, but it is what it is. Regardless, there's no chance in hell he would have won this week because foosball was just dominant. And I will admit, I actually like to call foosball Skeletor, just because Skeletor is like made of like this super skeleton guy from He-Man, like a great like animated kid show from like the early '90s, I believe. And foosball's kind of old, so he's kind of like a skeleton. Not a great correlation, but it's kind of cool. And for all those who are generally unfamiliar with He-Man, I think that was the start of the whole toxic masculinity movement. Because if you've ever actually seen the show, like all the dudes in it are just ripped, like they're on steroids, and they always wear either like super tight fitting clothes or like no clothes at all. Like He-Man, he's got a couple straps going across his chest, like check out these pecs, baby, yeah. And I think that led to a lot of people, especially in my generation, just going, man, why can't I look that buff? Why can't I be that amazing? And it's really toxic now. Women always complain about how they need to be perfectionists in their body, but what about men? How many men can achieve that great buffness that He-Man has without the use of steroids? And I'll tell you right now, it's zero, or pretty damn close to zero. And while we're on the subject of He-Man, there is another often overlooked fact about that show, which is if you've ever looked really closely, you'll notice that all the male characters, especially like He-Man and Skeletor, they're always packing. Like they wear like the Superman type underwear, like it's on the outside and it's like skin tight with the rest of their clothes. And they are seriously packing some man heat down there. Like they are always erect and it's showing, it's doing it. And you gotta wonder, like, yeah, you know, Skeletor is always trying to take over Eternia and defeat He-Man and all that shit, but do they really hate each other? I kind of get the feeling that it's one of those like homoerotic love hate type relationships where they just kind of need to hate fuck each other, you know. Which, for all intents and purposes here, I mean, while they did promote the whole toxic masculinity idea, they were actually pretty progressive when it came to gay relationships and all of that. But again, since the fact existed that they were trying to kill each other throughout the show, or at least beat each other up, it kind of built in the whole idea of physical violence in relationships, and again, not a great idea to be pushing forward with the children of that era. And on the side note of like children's cartoon shows during that era. What's up with like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back then? Like you get all these turtles with these like kick-ass weapons. Like you look at Leonardo, the dude with like twin blades, twin samurai blades. He's constantly like fighting, foot soldiers with these things. But like none of the foot soldiers are ever like brutally murdered. Like you don't see Leonardo slashing a foot soldier in half, like severing the body. It's like, how do you fight with two samurai swords and never cut anyone? Then what's the point of using the swords if you're not cutting someone? Or are they just not showing it? But then they always show the fights to completion and it just never happens. Like, what the hell's going on there? It's completely unrealistic. And, I get it. The idea of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the first place is unrealistic, but you could at least have some elements of realism. And proper weapon physics and the slaughtering of evil clan soldiers, evil foot soldiers, is definitely a part of that. So I don't get it. It annoys me. And last up, we have Beans and Franks versus Blue Team. And personally, I like to refer to Blue Team as the ambiguously gay duo, simply because it's run by two co-owners, Elijah Hartzell and Travis Lee, and they basically are the embodiment of the ambiguously gay duo. For those who are unfamiliar, again, it was an animated like skit that was put on in like the late '90s and with Saturday Night Live. We had a lot of like major guest star voices and everything. The whole show was basically these two male superheroes, white guys who were fighting crime, but then all the villains basically were spending all their time not only trying to commit crimes, but trying to figure out whether or not the superheroes were actually gay together or not. So my was the whole purpose. And I kind of feel like the blue team is the embodiment of that in real life because, both owners kind of live together. You know, they're not married. They like to hang out with each other a lot. They do kind of weird, risque like exercises together. They've occasionally slept in the same bed together. There's a lot of ambiguously gay things going on between them, and I just think it kind of fits, because the outfits of the ambiguously gay duo are mainly blue, and they name their team Blue Team, so connection going on there. I think so. For those who have never actually seen the ambiguously gay duo, you need to go watch those videos. They are available online. It's a great series. And yeah, I think it's like the perfect embodiment. And quite frankly, from here on out, I'm not going to refer to them as Blue Team. It's going to refer to them as the ambiguously gay duo or the gay duo for short, because that's pretty much what they are in my book. And as you know, we talked about, like, Beans and Franks just blew the gay duo out of the water here. Pretty much everyone on Frank's team just went off, with the exception of maybe his lineman, his safety, and obviously running back Joshua Kelly. But of course, Joshua Kelly's value is probably going to go up quite a bit now that Austin Eckler went down injured. He's going to miss, probably won't be back until week 11, which obviously is terrible for the gay duo because they have Eckler. And that was right after, having lost Devontae Adams week 2, and he's been out since. He probably won't be back till week 6. And then Darius Leonard, their star linebacker, went down with a groin injury early in week 4. He might miss some time. So really, like, blue team. I just ruined my own bit. The gay duo, the gay duo has really been riddled with injuries so far. Obviously, they should have known Adams wasn't playing. That was a rookie mistake on their part. Happens. And they got Miles Sanders still, but he's been trending down every week, and Wentz looks terrible. That offensive line keeps getting banged up further and further. And once defenses realize that Sanders is the only threat on that offense, they're going to start double and triple teaming him, keying in on him. You got to expect a lot of sub 10-point weeks from that guy. So the gay duo, I think they're very top heavy. They got some elite talent there with, Adams and Hill, but now losing Eckler and Sanders not looking all that great. They're gonna have to make some moves. They're gonna have to do something, or at least hold the fort until they get healthy. Otherwise, they're gonna be in serious trouble this season. But props to Beans and Franks just dominating that game and just completely reaming the gay duo up the backside. Like, he did not give up. He lost Barkley and a lot of other players to injury. And he just keeps plugging away. He keeps trying. So big kudos to you, man, for not giving up. Loving that attitude. That's what we need here in Deplorable. Then we start looking forward to this upcoming week's matchups. You got myself against Beers. Beers having lost Nick Chubb and everything. I got to give myself the nod on that one. I think I'll end up beating Beers. Sorry, Beers. But yeah. You get foosball against special. That's the game of the week right there. Normally I would say, foosball, he's got the higher ceiling, but a lot of his guys are kind of boom or bust. And special, I feel like a lot of his guys, on the other hand, have very consistent floors. and I feel like he's pretty much a shoe-in to be getting at least like 150 this week. So I'm gonna give Special the nod on this one solely because of that consistency factor. You got Ertz and Franks. I mean, yeah, theoretically, Ertz might be doing a little bit better now. Michael Thomas is going to be back and everything, but I got to give it to Franks. He's on a one-game hot streak right now, and he is going to push Ertz into that 0-5 territory. It's going to be like the Detroit Lions from a few years back, that 0-16 season. I kind of want to see it. Hey, no offense, Ertz, but I really want to see the 0-16 type fantasy season. You also have Spencer Strasmore versus Blue Team. I mean, normally I would say Blue Team if he was at full. If damn it, I keep messing my own joke up. The ambiguously gay duo. Normally, I would say if they were at full health, they would likely win this matchup. But they're not gonna have Eckler. They're not gonna have Adams. I don't think Sanders or any of them have particularly great matchups. And Spencer, with the Chubb injury, his team's just gotten better. Even without Julio Jones, I think Spencer's just gonna eke this one out. Yeah, I think it's gonna be relatively close, but Strasmore is still going to dominate the gay duo, both outside and inside the bedroom. Jenner against OK Google. This is yeah. Come on, Jenner's gonna win because Google doesn't give two shits about the league or his team. Go f yourself, Google. Boom. Then we have Feel Good Woke Bison. Feel Good's gonna win that one. I mean, no offense, Woke Bison, but unless you start making some moves to really improve the core of your team, you're gonna have a hard time. You really got to work that waiver wire or make some really smart trades because with the team you have now, you're just not gonna be getting it done. As far as divisions go, I mean, I think we can all agree that Bidenville sucks because you got Beers at 3-1, which is a great record, but I don't know, man. Special K 2-2, like the big thing we need to be looking at here is the Libertarian Shanty because Foosball's 3-1. If he ends up winning this week, going 4-1, and Blue Team drops another game, which I'm predicting. I'm calling it right now. They're gonna go through 2-3, and the gay duo is likely not going to be coming back from that. This could be a make or break season type game because gay duo needs to start making up some ground, especially now that Beans and Franks has the tiebreaker on him. So yeah, that pretty much covers everything we need to cover in these videos. Hope you enjoyed this whole experience. Hope you guys continue to trade and do all that fun ass shit. And yeah, if you have any questions, you can reach out to Special and I. And no, you can't have him. And feel free, Blue Team, to rename your team the Ambiguously Gay Duo. I do give you permission for that. I think the entire league would enjoy it. And if you want like a cool GIF to throw on the home page to replace that stupid little Halo guy, let me know. I'll come up with something for you. We can really decorate your team so that you can fully embrace the gayness that you two represent. And I'm just throwing this out there. I am not against gay people. 100% Deplorable loves diversity. Because Jenner, he's transgendered. He supports the transgendered community. Full support for him. And even if we got a couple of gay owners, I'm fully supporting them. I believe in them. I will back them up, and nothing against that. It's just about embracing who you are and not hiding your true feelings for each other. That's all I'm trying to get at. Is you should not hide your true feelings for each other. Love. All right, that's all. Peace out, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great night.